Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, today our lecture is on bacterial genetics. And in bacterial genetics, we will start by looking at the techniques for the study of bacteria, then bacterial genome, plasmids, gene transfer in bacteria, and then conjugation. So, before going into the detail of our lecture, I just want to briefly go through the advantages of using bacteria and viruses for genetic studies. So, for first and foremost, advantage is that the reproduction in bacteria is very rapid and they can be easily uh, grown in the lab. So many progeny are produced in the case of bacteria, and haploid genome allows all mutations to be expressed directly because bacteria are uh, having a single circular or linear chromosome. So because they are not diploid like other eukaryotic cells, so when mutations will be present, they will be expressed directly because of the haploid genome. And asexual reproduction further simplifies the isolation of genetically pure strains. Strains are different types of bacterial species. Bacterial species have different strains which are having different changes in the genome, variations in the genome, and based on those variations, they are considered as different strains. So, growth in the laboratory is easy and require little space. They can be grown in test tubes as well as on the petri plates. And bacterial genomes are very small as compared to the eukaryotic genomes, so they are easy to handle. So techniques are available for isolating and manipulating their genes, so we can easily manipulate the bacterial genes and we can use the bacteria for our own purposes. And they are also important medically because many bacteria are disease causing, and we want to study those bacteria so that we can combat with them to save the humanity from being affected by those pathogenic bacteria. So they can be genetically engineered to produce substances of commercial value. So by using different genetic engineering techniques in biotechnology, scientists have developed different methods, and we are able to produce different commercially suitable products for our use. So now coming towards the bacterial genetics. So heredity in bacteria is fundamentally similar to the heredity in more complex organisms. But the bacterial haploid genome and their small size, which makes observation of their phenotypes difficult, require different approaches and methods. Because bacteria are so small that we cannot even study them with the naked eye. And when we want to study bacteria, we study the colonies which we produce on uh, petri plates, as well as by performing different confirmatory tests when they are grown in test tubes, in liquid media, or sometime on the solid media. So the methods of studying bacterial phenotypes are different from the methods used to study the phenotype of higher or more complex organisms. So first we will consider how bacteria are studied, and then examine several processes that transfer genes from one bacteria to another. So, the techniques for the study of bacteria. So, microbiologists have defined the nutritional needs of a number of bacteria, and they have developed culture media for growing bacteria in the labs. So, culture media are typically containing a carbon source and essential elements such as nitrogen and phosphorus, and in addition to this, certain vitamins and some other required ions and nutrients. So, these essential elements are needed, and wild type bacteria, which are also known as prototrophic bacteria, they can use these simple ingredients to synthesize all the compounds that they need for their growth and reproduction. And a medium that contains only the nutrients required by prototrophic bacteria is known as the minimal media. So, the media which is containing these basic and essential elements, they are that media is known as minimal medium. And when a bacteria is prototrophic bacteria can use the minimal medium to grow or to reproduce on that medium. But mutant strains known as the auxotrophs, they lack one or more enzymes which are necessary for metabolizing the nutrients or synthesizing the essential molecules required for the life of the bacterial cells, and will grow only on the medium that is supplemented with one or more nutrients. So, auxotrophs are not able to survive on the minimal media. They need a supplemented media which is containing the required elements, which is containing the required nutrients which are needed by that bacteria, and that bacteria is unable to produce that nutrient by its own by using the minimal medium. So, prototrophs are the bacteria that can synthesize the compounds by using the minimal media, and they can grow and they can reproduce. But on the other hand, auxotrophs are the mutant bacteria that are lacking some of the enzymes which they need in the medium to grow and reproduce. So, for example, auxotrophic strains that are unable to synthesize the amino acid leucine will not grow on minimal medium, but they will grow on medium to which the leucine has been added. So, complete medium contains all the substances required by bacteria for their growth and reproduction. And the culture of bacteria are often grown in test tubes that contain sterile liquid medium, and a few bacteria are added to the tubes and they grow and divide until all the nutrients are used up. Or more commonly, we can say that until the concentration of their waste products become toxic. So, bacteria are also grown in the Petri plates on the agar medium. So, growth medium is suspended in agar. Growth medium suspended in agar is poured into the bottom half of the Petri plate, providing a solid gel-like base for bacterial growth. As you can see in this figure, that bacteria can also be grown in the Petri plates, in the test tubes, as well as on the Petri plates. And when they are grown on the Petri plates, they have different forms. For example, in all these four Petri plates, you can see different morphology of bacterial colonies. So we can identify bacterial colonies based on their morphology on the Petri plates, as well as by performing other confirmatory tests. And mutant bacterial strains can be isolated on the basis of their nutritional requirements. So, if a bacterial culture is grown in the test tube, and then it is grown on the medium. So if we want to detect whether it is a mutant or uh, non-mutant, we will make uh, replica by using a handle which is having velvet surface, which is sterile like this one, and we'll put this on the plate which is containing the colonies. These small circles are different colonies of bacteria. So we will, by using this handle, we will transfer this on the velvet surface, sterilized velvet surface, and then we will uh, put this velvet surface on two other plates which are having different media. One media is on in one plate, media is lacking the leucine amino acid, and the other media is containing the leucine amino acid. So when we will grow these bacteria in the plate where leucine is lacking, we can compare easily that one colony is missing and this colony is present in the other plate where leucine was present in the media. So uh, in this plate in which leucine is present, both leucine plus and leucine negative bacteria will grow. Both auxotroph and prototrophs will grow in this, but uh, the bacteria which is lacking leucine producing machinery will not grow in the media which is lacking the leucine amino acid. So in this by using this method, we can easily select the bacteria, mutant bacteria, that are lacking the leucine producing or leucine synthesizing machinery, and we can reculture this colony in a test tube. So in this way we can isolate the leucine producing uh, leucine negative bacteria which are unable to synthesize leucine. So this now coming towards the bacterial genome. Bacteria are unicellular organisms that are lacking a nuclear membrane, and most bacterial genomes consist of a circular chromosome that contain a single DNA molecule, several million base pairs in length. For example, the genome of E. coli has approximately 4.6 million base pairs of DNA, and E. coli is a normal part of the normal flora of human gut. So it is used in digestion of normal proper digestion of food by the humans, used by the humans. So however, some bacteria contain multiple chromosomes. For example, vibrio cholera, which is a pathogenic bacteria and it causes cholera in human beings, has two circular chromosomes. And another bacteria, Rhizobium maliloti, has three chromosomes. So there are exceptions. Mostly bacteria have three bacteria have single chromosome, circular or linear chromosome, but there are bacteria having more than one chromosomes. So there are even a few bacteria that have linear chromosomes, and many bacterial chromosomes are organized efficiently. For example, more than 90% of the DNA in E. coli encodes proteins. In contrast, only 1% of human DNA encodes proteins. So the bacterial chromosomes do not have introns in the genes, so they also lack the splicing machinery. And therefore their genome is small and they are very efficiently organized, and more than 90% of the DNA is coding proteins, whereas in the case of human beings and other higher organisms, only 1% of the 1% of the DNA is used to code the proteins. So in this figure you can see that These are the figures in which ruptured bacterial cells are shown. So these are ruptured bacterial cells, and DNA is coming out, has come out of the cells. So these are the chromosomal DNA, and there are also some circular molecules present, which are plasmids. So plasmids, in addition to having a chromosome, many bacteria possess plasmids, and plasmids are small circular DNA molecules. And some plasmids are present in many copies per cell, whereas others are present in only one or two copies. So, in general, plasmids carry genes that are not essential to bacterial function but that may play an important role in the life cycle and growth of their bacterial host. So the plasmids are self-replicating molecules. They are present in different bacteria and they have different functions. So some plasmids promote mating between bacteria, and other plasmids contain genes that kill other bacteria. So of great importance, plasmids are used extensively in genetic engineering, and some of them play a role in the spread of antibiotic resistance among the bacterial cells and bacterial species. So it's a plasmid. How a plasmid replicates? A plasmid replicates independently of its bacterial chromosome, and there is an origin of replication, which is known as ORIV. And this origin of replication is used to start replication, and replication mostly begins in both directions, and sometimes, as it is visible in this second figure, uh, second part of this figure, that when replication starts, it starts in both directions. And even some plasmids have more than one origins of replication, and when the replication ends, so it produces exactly the same copy as its beginning molecule. So in this way, a plasmid is producing a identical copy of its own, and these two daughter plasmids, this one and this one, they have one old strand and one new strand, and this molecule has replicated and it has produced two daughter plasmids. So episomes are also plasmids, and they are capable of entire either freely replicating. Episomes are capable of freely replicating, or they can also integrate into bacterial chromosomes. And the fertility factor, F factor, of E. coli is also an episome, and it controls the mating and gene exchange between E. coli cells. So, this is an F factor which is used as a um, machinery which is having different genes, and that those genes are involved in mating between two bacterial cells, two E. coli cells. So uh, the fertility factor is involved in uh, transfer of different part of these genes, part of these episome or this plasmid from one cell to the other cell. So keep in mind that the typical bacterial genome consists of a single circular chromosome that contain several million base pairs, and some bacterial genes may be present on plasmids, which are small circular DNA molecules that replicate independently of the bacterial chromosome. And in this F factor, fertility factor, this IS2 and IS3 are two insertional sequences, and they regulate the insertion into the bacterial chromosome, because this episome is capable of inserting itself into the bacterial chromosome. So now, coming towards the gene transfer in bacteria, for many years bacteria were thought to produce only by simple binary fission, in which one cell splits into two identical cells without any exchange or recombination of genetic material. But in the 1946, Joshua Lederberg and Edward Tatum demonstrated that bacteria can transfer and recombine genetic information, and this finding paved the way for the use of bacteria as model organisms, model genetic organisms. So, bacteria exchange genetic material by three different mechanisms, and all entailing some type of DNA transfer and recombination between the transferred DNA and the bacterial chromosome. So, first one is the conjugation. First method used by bacteria to transfer DNA is conjugation. And conjugation is the direct transfer of genetic material from one bacterial cell to another. And in conjugation, two bacteria lie close together and a connection is formed between them. A plasmid or a part of the bacterial chromosome passes from one cell, which is known as the donor cell, to the other cell, which is the recipient cell. And subsequent to conjugation, crossing over takes place between homologous sequences and in the transferred DNA and the chromosome of the recipient cell. So, in conjugation, DNA is transferred only from donor to the recipient cell, and there is no reciprocal exchange of genetic material. So, DNA is only transferred from donor to the recipient cell. There is no reciprocal transfer from the recipient to the donor cell. As it is very clear in this figure representing the conjugation, there are two cells, one is donor cell and one is the recipient cell, and bacterial chromosome is transferred from the donor cell to the recipient cell. A conjugation tube is formed, and then a nick is produced in the donor DNA, and then this is transferred to the other cell. And when when both cells separate, then a crossover in the recipient cell takes place wherever the homologous sequences are present. So in this way, this transferred part of the chromosome is integrated into the recipient cell chromosome, and the uh, segment of chromosome that is excised is then degraded. So in this way, DNA is transferred from one cell to the other cell, which is the recipient cell. And second method is the transformation. In transformation, DNA in the medium surrounding a bacterium is taken up, and after transformation, recombination may take place between the introduced genes and those of the bacterial chromosomes. So in the medium, there are some DNA fragments, and those fragments are taken up by the cell, and then just like the process which was happening in the conjugation, a crossing over event takes place, and this taken up DNA molecule is integrated into the bacterial cell, just like this one, and the excised uh, fragment is degraded. So this is known as the transformation. In conjugation, DNA was transferred from a living bacterial cell, one living bacterial cell, to the other bacterial cell. But in the case of transformation, the DNA is taken up from the medium, and then it is integrated into the cell. And the third method is transduction. And in transduction, bacterial viruses known as the bacteriophages carry the DNA from one bacterium cell to another. And once inside the bacterium, the newly introduced DNA may undergo recombination with the bacterial chromosome. So a virus actually infects a bacterial cell, and then this virus injects its DNA into the bacterial cell, and then takes up the machinery, bacterial cell machinery, and start producing its own components. Then when this cell ruptures, it is carrying some part of the DNA. The virus which is infecting the bacterium is containing part of the bacterial DNA, and then this bacterial DNA is transferred to the other cell when the progeny viral particles infect the other cells, and then a crossing over event takes place just like previous two methods, and uh, recombination takes place, and the excised DNA fragment is degraded. So these are the three methods used to transfer the DNA from one bacterium cell to the other bacterial cell. So not all bacterial species exhibit all three types of genetic transfer. So conjugation is more frequent for some bacteria than for others, and transformation takes place to a limited extent in many bacteria. But laboratory techniques have been developed that increase the rate or efficiency of the DNA uptake, and most bacteriophages have limited host ranges. So transduction is normally between bacteria of the same or closely related species only. So conjugation, now coming towards the detail of conjugation. So conjugation, in the course of their research, Lederberg and Tatum studied some strains of E. coli, those possessed auxotrophic mutations. So they studied the auxotrophic mutations in E. coli, and one strain was Y10 strain, and that strain required the amino acids threonine and leucine and vitamin thiamine. They were unable to produce these three molecules, but did not require the vitamin biotin or the amino acids phenylalanine or the cysteine. So the genotypes of this strain can be written as the threonine negative, leucine negative, thiamine negative, biotin positive, phenylalanine positive, and cysteine positive. So when they performed experiment to know that how bacteria undergo genetic exchange, they took Y10 strain and Y24 strain, and in Y10 strain there were three genes that it was unable to produce as it at its own, and it needed these three in the media. And on the other hand, the Y24 strain was unable to produce biotin, phenylalanine, and cysteine. So it needed these three gene products in the medium. So when they uh, started growing these two strains separately on the media, so they were unable to grow because they could not produce these in the minimal media. But when they mixed these two strains, Y10 and Y24 strains, and then they uh, poured this mixture on the Petri plate, they were having the growth of different colonies. So Lederberg and Tatum concluded that some of the genetic transfer and recombination had taken place because the two strains were having different genotypes, and one strain was lacking three enzymes that were present in the other cells. So when they mixed the cells, the conjugation may have resulted, and then after conjugation recombination would have taken place, and which has made uh, some strains which are now having all the genes present, and then these cells can easily grow on the minimal medium. Uh, for example, you can see that Y10 strain is containing this chromosome, and Y24 is containing this chromosome. Genotype is of both is given here. So when recombination has taken place, we have two combination, this one and this one, and the combination of genes having all the plus genes are the this combination containing bacteria are able to survive on the or able to grow on the minimal medium, and they do not need these six products, gene products in the media. But after this, even after this experiment, they did not know that how it had taken place. And to study this problem, that how it has taken place, the Bernard Davis constructed a U-shaped tube that was divided into two compartments by a filter having fine pores. This tube and filter allowed liquid medium to pass from one side of the tube to the other side. So this is a filter in the middle, and liquid can pass through, but bacterial cells cannot pass. So after hours of incubation in the U-tube, bacteria plated out on the minimal medium did not grow. There had been no genetic exchange between the strains, and the exchange of bacterial genes clearly required direct contact between the bacterial cells. So until and unless direct contact is not present, there will be no conjugation and there will be no transfer of the genetic material. So when they plated both strains separately on the minimal medium, there was no growth, and even after pouring into the Davis U tube, there was no growth on the minimal medium. So this experiment proved that uh, there is some direct contact of the bacterial cells that is needed, otherwise there will be no uh, gene transfer without the direct contact. So now coming towards the F plus and F minus cells, we know that F is the fertility factor, and in most bacteria, conjugation depends on the fertility factor that is present in the donor cells and absent in the recipient cells. Cells that contain F are referred to as F plus, whereas the cell lacking the F are known as the F minus cells. So the F factor contains an origin of replication and a number of genes required for the conjugation. For example, some of these genes encode sex pili. This is the sex pilus, um, and they are slender extensions of the cell membrane. A cell containing F factor produces the sex pili, which makes contact with the receptor. This recipient cell has a receptor for this sex pilus, and F cells and uh, pulls the when it this sex pili makes a contact with the receptor on the F cell, F minus cell. This is F minus cell. F minus cells, and pulls the two cells together. So conjugation takes place only between a cell that possesses F and a cell that lacks the F. So when this conjugation takes place, both cells come near, and then DNA is transferred from this cell to the other cell. So in most cases, the only genes transferred during conjugation between an F plus and F minus cells are those on the F factor. So in this figure, we can easily see that if this is a F plus cell, this is donor cell, and this is an F minus cell. So F factor is transferred from the F plus to the F minus cell, and when a nick is produced, it starts strand starts moving towards the other cell, and then replication also starts, and at the end both cells are now F plus. And when conjugation takes place between F plus and F minus cell, the recipient cell also becomes the F plus cell, and now it can also donate this chromosome to any other F minus cell. Sorry. So next is the HFR cells. These are the high frequency recombinant cells. Conjugation transfers genetic material in the F plasmid from F plus to F minus cells, but does not account for the transfer of chromosomal genes observed by the Lederberg and Tatum. So in high frequency recombinant strains, the F factor is integrated into the bacterial chromosomes. So high frequency recombinant cells are those cells in which F factor has integrated itself into the bacterial chromosome. For example, this is the F plus cell, and F factor is present in it, and this is the bacterial chromosome. So sometimes this F factor inserts itself into the bacterial chromosome and becomes the part of that bacterial chromosome, and this type of cells are known as the high frequency recombinant cells, and F factor has integrated itself into the bacterial chromosome. So HFR cells behave as just like as F plus cells, forming sex pili and undergoing conjugation uh, with the F minus cells. So the F plasmid in F cells integrates into the bacterial chromosome, causing the F plus cell to become high frequency recombinant. But this frequency is very low, and this process takes place only about 1 in 10,000 cases. So it is very rare phenomena. So bacterial genes may be transferred from an HFR cell to an F minus cell in conjugation. So if a HFR cell is having conjugation with F minus cell, then it transfer its DNA into the other cell, and because now HFR is having a chromosome that is containing F factor in it, so when it transfer its DNA to the recipient cell, then whole F factor is not transferred, because Nick is produced in the middle of this F factor, and now half of the F factor is present on both ends of the chromosome. So after some time, when the conjugation is stopped, then part of DNA has been transferred, but not a complete F factor has been transferred. So this also contains some bacterial genes, and when uh, conjugation takes place, when the conjugation ends, uh, the transferred DNA has is undergoing a recombination phase, and in this recombination phase, part of some bacterial genes are transferred into the bacterial chromosome, and the when this exchange has taken place, so the unexchanged DNA will degrade, and the cell will remain F minus cell, because it does not has taken up the complete F factor. So in the case of this type of conjugation between HFR and F minus cell, F minus cell will remain F minus cell, and to become F plus cell, it needs the whole chromosome to be transferred from the donor cell. Otherwise, it will remain the F minus cell. And in most of the cases, it will remain F minus cell, because this is very large chromosome, and it is very difficult to transfer this whole chromosome during the conjugation. So now coming towards the F prime cells, when an F factor does excise from the bacterial chromosome, a small amount of bacterial chromosome may be removed with it, and these chromosomal genes will then be carried with the F plasmid. And cells containing an F plasmid with some bacterial genes are called F prime cells. For example, if an F factor integrates into a chromosome adjacent to the chromosome's lac operon, the F factor may pick up the lac genes when it excises and becomes an F prime lac. So during the conjugation between F prime lac cells and an F minus cell, the F plasmid is transferred to the F minus cell, and which means that any gene on the F plasmid, including those from the bacterial chromosome, may be transferred to the F minus recipient cells, and this process is known as the sexduction, and it produces partial diploids or merozygotes, which are the cells which contain two copies of some genes. So in this table, different characteristics of E. coli cells are shown with different types of F factor. So if a cell is F plus, the F factor is present as separate circular DNA, and it will act as a donor cell. In the case of F minus, F factor is absent and it will act as recipient cell. And HFR, high frequency recombinant, in high frequency recombinant cells, F factor is present and it is integrated into the bacterial chromosome, and they are high frequency donor cells. And in the case of F prime, F factor present as separate circular DNA carrying some bacterial genes, and they are also donor in the conjugation process. So now in this table we can see that if an F plus cell is conjugating with F minus cell, then two F plus cells will be produced and F minus cell will become F plus. But in the case of HFR and F minus cell, one F plus cell and one F minus, because there is no change because of the bigger size of the chromosome which is needed to be transferred to become for making the F minus cell to F plus cell. And in the third case, where F prime cell is conjugating with F minus cell, two F prime cells will be produced and F minus cell will become F prime cell. So this is the first lecture of bacterial genetics, and hope it is an interesting topic. So if you have any question, you can ask on during our online session. So it is enough for today. Thank you.